Hey, beautiful people. This one's a difficult one. This one is what to do when you're overwhelmed at work. How to regain your capacity without falling behind. Do you ever feel like your to-do list is just multiplying and that your brain is actually shrinking? When you think about taking a break or going on a vacation and it weighs on you because it just makes you feel like you're going to fall further behind. Sometimes we just push through, but here's what to do when that just doesn't work anymore. By the end of this video, I want you to be able to understand how to respond to overwhelm in a way that really restores your capacity and doesn't drain it even more. So I mentioned to some friends that I was doing this video, what to do when you're overwhelmed at work. And one of the immediate responses was cry. So I remember when I was younger, that one of my goals in dealing with the overwhelm was just don't cry, just don't cry. And if you are going to, make sure you know where the nearest loo is or the nearest bathroom is, because that's your rescue point. Hopefully you are a little bit past that stage and you are able to have conversations to be able to deal with overwhelm and you don't feel like you're going to cry. If you do feel like you're going to cry, hopefully this video will help you. And my one piece of advice on that one is just try to avoid doing it, at least until you're done with the conversation. Been there, done that. It's a tough one. Lots of times, overwhelm really isn't a time issue. It's sometimes a capacity issue or a capacity mismatch. Overwhelm really happens when your capacity to fulfill your commitments is not enough for the commitments that you've made. So you've overextended yourself, you've overcommitted yourself. It's useful when you get to that feeling of overwhelm to be able to sit down and look at what are the commitments I've made and what are the commitments I really think I'm going to be able to deliver on and what are the commitments I'm not. When you do what I refer to as a commitment audit, now the deal with a commitment audit is you can do it in the back of an envelope. First time you do it, it's really useful to look at the whole thing and really understand what you have going on and do it for yourself with a lot of compassion. You've overextended yourself, you're overwhelmed, and you need to do a commitment audit and see what you can really fulfill. Some of the things on your commitment list are things you're going to be able to say no to, or things you're going to be able to renegotiate the timeline on. Now, lots of times when we are go-getters, hand raisers, people who take stuff on, the go-to person in our department, the self-starter person, we end up biting off more than we can chew. And what happens in that particular case is we need to learn how to be able to negotiate and we need to learn how to be able to decline or say no. So you can break your commitments into different buckets. You can break them into the one that says, this is a strong commitment, I have a strong customer, I've made a commitment, I know what the deadline is, and I know what the conditions of satisfaction are. I know what's going to satisfy the customer. I'm invested in this. I want to deliver on this. That's one end of the spectrum. The other end of the spectrum might be things that you've assumed need to be done. You may not have a clear customer for them. You may not have committed a real date for them. There might be just stuff on your to-do list that you kind of want to get to and you know are important. If you can break your commitments into real commitments, stuff that I kind of know I need to do commitments, or not commitments rather, vague things, and things that you can negotiate, then what you can do is you can begin to free up some breathing room for yourself. So you've got three buckets. Commitments I've made that are solid, I've skin in the game, I have a great customer, I really want to deliver on them. Vague stuff that I'm not sure who the customer is, I know I want to probably get to it sometime, don't have a real timeline on them, stuff that I can renegotiate. So what you do with the ones at the bottom of the curve is you park them, you put them on a different list, you move them to something called for the future. And you wait and see if that produces any breakdowns. It probably won't. The only person that's exhorting you to do those is yourself. Drop that for yourself for a moment. The middle bucket of the ones that you can renegotiate, are the ones that are actually going to help you learn how to deal with overwhelm in the long term. When you get a request for a commitment for work to be done, most of us, particularly those of us who are committed to being successful, you're one of them, you're watching this video. People who are committed, who are ambitious, again, you're one of them, you're watching this video. People who want to do really great work at work, you're one of them, you're watching this video. So you're one of those people. And what we do is we tend to jump to trying to get the work started. We tend to jump right into it and get as much work as we possibly can get done. And we don't necessarily negotiate with the customer to fully understand what it is that they're looking for in terms of what will satisfy them, what their standards are, what their metrics are, and by when they need the work done. If you have commitments in the space where you're not clear on exactly what satisfaction means for your customer, exactly what your standards are, exactly what the metrics are, and exactly by when it needs to be done, get out ahead of it. Spend an hour or two having the conversations, send out some emails, look for clarity, and make sure that you're negotiating on the timeline. What I've found with these sort of situations is I've assumed incorrectly that the person needs it by the end of the week or the end of the month or the end of the quarter. If I come back to them and I say, I'm overwhelmed at the moment, I've got a lot on my plate, I want to understand from you by when it is you're looking for this to be done. And if they come back to you and they say they wanted it yesterday, you're asking to renegotiate with them to move things out a little bit further. People have a lot of flexibility built into their systems if we are honest and upfront with them, and we can begin to identify the ones that really have hard deadlines that they need to deal with. So think of overwhelm not as just being a time problem, because time is absolutely finite, but it's a capacity mismatch, and begin to look at your capacity to be able to deliver in the 3 buckets that I mentioned. The serious commitments, the negotiable commitments, and the stuff that's a I'd like to get to it at some point commitment. If in this process you recognize that your time is finite and there are a lot of commitments that you are not going to be able to deliver on time, get out ahead of the game as fast as you possibly can. What you really want to do here is you want to be able to let people know what is happening and sit down with them and try and solve for the problem that you've created for them with all honesty and openness. So if you see that it is really something that is not sustainable for you and you need to realign, have that conversation as fast as you possibly can. Don't let it sit there. Don't let it fester. Get out ahead of the game. One of the things that's valuable to do is really making negotiation one of your superpowers. The go-getter people, and again, I think we've established you're one of them, the go-getter people in life aren't necessarily really good at that because we overextend ourselves. We are overly ambitious for our capacity many times. We want to be in every game. We want to be part of what's going on all over the place. And so we tend to overextend ourselves, and we don't tend to pay attention to our own capacity because we have the energy to allow ourselves kind of not to. Negotiation is really a superpower for people like us, and I would include myself as one of you. People like us who tend to put ourselves in a position of overwhelm because we are ambitious and we want to do a lot. If you can learn how to negotiate effectively, and you can, as you learn how to negotiate effectively, what you will see is you will build flexibility and agility in your network of commitments and with your customers, and they will see you as someone who's able to get out ahead of the game and anticipate when breakdowns are going to happen, declare them as early as they possibly can, renegotiate where necessary, and give them space to be able to do the same thing themselves. If you have really backed yourself into a corner and you know that by doing some of the changes you need to make, you're going to produce a lot of breakdowns for a lot of people, ask for help. As a leader, being humble and being able to know when to ask for help and being able to ask for help is absolutely something you have to learn how to do, and it's a core competency for leadership. If you get stuck, if you've painted yourself into a corner, if you're truly overwhelmed and you're going to have to decline a lot of stuff that really are solid commitments that other people are relying on you to deliver, then go and ask for help. Declare the breakdown, have the conversation with them, and ask for help. As you reflect back on what you've learned in this video, what I'm encouraging you to do is I'm really encouraging you to design your way out of the overwhelm, to build a practice for yourself of recognizing when you're overwhelmed, of figuring out how to put your commitments into different buckets that allow you to be able to deal with them differently. Build negotiating capacity so that you are reducing your chances of getting into overwhelm in the first place, and really begin to spend more time looking at what your own capacity looks like. When you reach the end of your capacity, either get out there and declare the breakdowns as soon as you can, or go and ask for help. So think of it as a cycle of you developing more capacity to be able to deal with your own capacity, your own overwhelm, which will show up less and less over time as you start managing it as related to your capacity rather than just something that happens to you. So most valuable takeaway for you from this video is really to understand overwhelm as being a capacity issue, not a time issue. If you're in the early days of figuring out how to deal with overwhelm, I've got another video here that you might find super valuable, which is why do I get overwhelmed so easily at work? It's more personal, it'll give you different insights, and it will hopefully help you on this journey. As you go through the process, I wish you the very best of luck. This is practice. This is a muscle you can build, and be kind to yourself as you go through the process. Take care and good luck.